The following podcast is sponsored by Words and Pictures Comics, located at 2610 Center Street, number 6. Words and Pictures is your one-stop shop for vintage back issues and cutting-edge graphic novels. Awesome service, great shop. Check them out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 239 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Today, my guest is Skeleton Studios' own Neil Richardson. If you're looking at Castle Grayskull as the introduction to this podcast, it was custom designed by this man. What Neil does, ladies and gentlemen, is he actually rebuilds or remodifies or customizes sets to certain specifications. He's made classic stuff. The one that still gets me is the one where clowns will eat me. I have pictures of the Simpsons bed, but he has remade other classic stuff and he has modified it to the nth degree. Neil is an amazing artist, and honestly, you guys should definitely check him out. But I'm also going to do something a little special today. So, Maggie Boxfoldy, the Metal Maiden Muskomirsk, according to Mr. Neil, and you'll find out a little bit more about that in the conversation. It's her birthday today. So, Maggie, listening, this is from me to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Muskomirsk. Happy birthday to you, and many more.
Pretty comfortable? Like, just ask away. I'll give you, like, the most honest answers I can.
Well, I always open them this way. If you have anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
I live a pretty vanilla life, man. What can I say?
He is vanilla, ladies and gentlemen. Vanilla. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm just chill, man. This has been a fun, crazy month so far for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you like my '70s retro couch?
I do. I do. I remember sitting on a couch like this in like London, Ontario in the '80s.
Oh well, that's kind of the idea of this whole what you're seeing in front of you, because I guess you could say I like retro.
Mm-hmm.
I like retro, and this was like it's still in really good condition for being like 40 years old. It's like one of the most comfortable couches I've had in like 20 years.
Well, honest to God, like a lot of the built to last stuff, yeah. Most of that shit's really good. Like, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying your chair? It's comfortable.
No, it's super comfortable. It doesn't feel. I really hate the IKEA generation disposable everything generative stuff there. I really hate that because
it's an IKEA couch story, but that's a different story. It's like, yeah, no, because the couch I had before this was an IKEA couch, and all my friends would complain about it. Like, yeah, it's too comfortable to sit on. I don't want to watch movies at your place. I'm like, well, how about I just cuddle you instead? You know?
Oh. Yes, and I've already led to other stories that can't be talked about on the air as well.
Yeah, well, I guess so. There you go.
Vanilla like my ass, but that's okay. But no, you definitely have a retro. Like, I'm looking at your the Empire's ship there with a lot of envy and jealousy, because we've already talked about this off the air. You are a huge Star Wars guy.
You know what? I still got faith in the franchise. We just had this discussion about Last Jedi, and I don't want to give you like what everybody's saying, like, oh, it just sucks. Like, there's reasons and stuff, and I have a whole thing about Star Wars as it is, and you want to hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
We can talk. So
the first one was released in our childhoods, considered the best, and, like a lot of people glorify and wear their rose-colored glasses. There are flaws, just like, our childhoods.
Yeah.
There's plenty of flaws and stuff, but it is considered the best. And then, the prequels came along in like at the end of the 90s and stuff, and I was in my 20s, and let me put it this way. There are plenty of things I'd love to forget, about my 20s, and, we're all trying new things, and a lot of people rip on the prequels, and it didn't feel like Star Wars, but did you really feel like yourself when you were watching the original Star Wars? Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so that ends, and so along comes this new one, and, and we're adults now. A lot of us have kids, and we're seeing things in a different light, and things seem to be going pretty good. I liked episode 7, and then we get episode 8, and you realize it's kind of like being red-pilled, because, your heroes are not what you thought they were. Things that you thought mattered just got tossed out the window for other things, and you're kind of, a lot of us, especially when you reach midlife, are left like, where do we go from here? And that's kind of what I feel is with the Star Wars trilogy right now. But I really did actually enjoy Solo. As cheesy as it was, I had a lot of fun.
I have not seen it yet.
I recommend it.
Yeah, no. Actually, no. Everybody I have it, for me at this point, it's more about my time.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You gotta, movies take up time.
Yeah, movies do take up time, and I mean, I try. I also, like, I'm one of those people that have this. I am definitely a binger, and I recognize that when I binge, I really binge.
Binge the Goldbergs.
Oh, I've heard nothing but good things about that show.
It's awesome. Like, that kid Adam is me. Adam Goldberg. Let's write He-Man together. Okay, perfect.
Yes. Yes. Oh man. And we were talking about He-Man earlier than that too. And that, like I said, I love the new cartoon. I wish it still was going. Like,
I am a big Star Wars fan, but He-Man was definitely my first love.
Yeah.
Like, I loved He-Man. I still do. And like, I was once a proud owner of the entire collection. And
okay, I am jealous because I never quite got to that level. I had Skeletor, I had He-Man, but that was as far as it went for me.
Well, during the boom time, like, and our dollar was doing well, and I was like an eBay fanatic. I literally bought my entire childhood, every toy that I ever had or wanted, except, you know, I had them all, except for the ones I didn't want because I just didn't want them. But I literally did. I bought everything. I have I still got a few items, but I gotta tell you, if you are a toy collector, that shit is fucking lucrative.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god, because I had a huge collection. I was collecting for about 10 years. I got divorced, and that collection, selling it, brought me through my divorce ahead of the game.
Yes. Okay.
Let it go, guys. It's just stuff. Let it go.
No. Actually, that's really good philosophy. No, I still remember when I was a kid, I went to this auction, and the one thing that blew me away was toys. They I remember these dinky. I remember grant you, they're metal. They are cool. But remember those little tiny Hot Wheels, the tiny ones? When you're seeing one of them,
Micro Machines.
Yeah. The micros.
Those were big when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, when you see just one of them, go for $50 in front of your eyes, and you're 16 years old, you're like, holy shit.
I know, for a little piece of plastic. There are accessories, like, I've got one accessory for Flying Fist He-Man. It's this little red clip that goes on the back, and like, I see them going for like $50 and stuff like that. But if you want to buy toys cheap, you go on forums. Don't buy eBay.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, absolutely no.
Forums.
Yeah, because you can make deals, and then
you do, and actually you start making friends too. Like, I bought a bunch of stuff from this guy, and like he started throwing in just like little things, like he would send me chocolate bars, and I'd send him stickers, and he'd send me trading cards. And
well, yeah, because again, now you're actually making connections, and that's what this game's all about. Ultimately, is making connections.
Totally making connections. Like, if you wanna, like, that's, I think, what is like the central thing of being a human being is like, you gotta make connections. Like, meeting people is like one of my favorite things to do, right? Like, I love to meet new people and shit like that.
That's why I do the podcast.
You know what? I can see why you do the podcast. Like, I've seen how I ran down the list, and I was like, just looking, and then I'd read the details in the description. Oh, what does this person do? What does this person do? And you got a broad spectrum.
Well, it's still writer-centric by and large, but I've been gradually getting more and more into a variety show. Like, for me, I like Larry King, I like Tom Schneider, I like Joe Rogan. Right, I love and I like how they do their interviews and stuff like that, and that's kind of where I model. Mm-hmm. Right, and so now I'm getting to the point now. I've done over 200 of these. I can't believe I've done over 200 of these.
Yeah, no, I noticed you were in the hundreds. You're like closing up there on Paul Scheer.
Yeah, exactly.
Hardest working man in podcasting. That's Paul Scheer.
Not anymore, my ass. But anyways, but the thing about it is what happens is you diversify. Like, you go, one person you meet leads to another person, which leads to another, and really they're like, honest to God, there's literally 5 degrees of separation. I'm literally, in a couple cases, literally 2 people away from meeting Neil Gaiman, which someone I would love to meet someday.
Probably.
Right? Yeah.
Well, that.
No, I know I'm legitimately 2 people away from meeting.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it because you've met so many people. Like, everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and so on. Like, it just is the way the world works. It's weird like that, but hey, I love it.
Oh no, it's important.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
No, it's true. It's so true.
It is.
It is so true. Like, and when I'm younger, I resented that. Like that was how the world works, because it was like it should be about ability and talent, but this is just as much about this is you have to abilities and talent, and I realize that I've gotten older, they're important, but they're not as important as can you talk to somebody, can you work with somebody, can you be friends with somebody, are you a decent human being, because people gravitate toward that stuff. Yes. Right? More so, I mean, you might be so skilled at something that people can't ignore you.
But if you're a prick, nobody wants to work with you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to name the comic creator, but I remember someone I was a fan of. I got to meet him in Phoenix, and he kind of blew me off because I only spent $3 on a comic of his I wanted. And then I go across the other side of the table, and there's like, I'm a back issue guy. I love comic books, right? So I'm looking at just some old stuff, and then he picks a fight with the comic guy. Like right while I'm there, I like he just blew up at him for some strange. I'm like, okay, you got problems. I don't want to deal with you. And the funny part is, like, you might have had a bad day. It happens. We all have bad days. We all have bad moments. Mm-hmm. But I mean, by the same token, though, that's not. You never know who you meet, right? So if you, yeah.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
I can hear the fans going, so let's take off and know what you're.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But no, when
help yourself to anything. That's what it's for. I'm a gamer. There's always snacks.
Yeah. Yes. Let's talk about games.
Have myself a curly willy.
Yes, I'm having myself an island bar while we're talking.
Man, help yourself. There's always chocolate here.
Yeah. So it's good shit. No, like for me, I just recognize like connections are important. How you treat people is very important, and you have to treat. And while I have definitely made my fair share of mistakes, I recognize that how you treat people coming up is very, very important, because it all comes back. How you treat people going up will be how hopefully they treat you going down, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a big believer. Is like, come on, like the world's tough, man. Mm-hmm. The world's tough enough as it is. Why make it any more difficult?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's just, I don't know. It's just a general rule, and you know. But at the same token, you can't say I'm a vegetarian, so this bull's not going to hit me.
Yeah. No, that's not
how it works. I mean, bad stuff happens just because you're a good person that you think that's never going to happen. It always happens. It's just how we come out of it at the end of it. Like, it molds us into who we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, fair does not exist in this world.
It's not a fair world at all.
No, it does not exist. Mm-mm. The only fair I know it happens at a carnival. But yes, that's the only fair I know. But
I like that.
Yeah, but the honest truth is, though, I mean, it's a good thing life's unfair. Lord knows I fucked up. Yeah.
You know what? If everything was fair, then
most of us would be dead, dude.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Most of us would be dead.
It just isn't, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's just because, like, you know what?
Yeah.
Things aren't fair. How do you come out at the other end? It's it teaches us, like, how to deal with, like, because it's like, you think it's only going to be unfair once?
Oh, it's going to happen over.
It's going to happen a lot.
Oh, yeah, no. And it's...
And that's kind of what's wrong with people today now, is they're using that, it's not fair. I want to do over it. I'm like, go back to your safe space. No, you know what? I burnt down your safe space.
So I nicknamed my day job Sparkle Muffin, because it's just like, and that's why, because it just like I had a friend of mine. She does a video series. She played a Princess Toadstool like character, and she named it Sparkle Muffin. And that Sparkle Muffin, when she's drunk, is a hot mess, right?
Okay.
Right. So when I see someone like whining and stuff, it's like, you've never been uncomfortable in your whole life. Nope. And so, you know what? You need this. This will...
You need this, you know what? And I'm glad that there's no one here to bail you out, because you do. You need it. Mm-hmm. If you're going to exist in the rest of the world... If you're going to exist in the rest of the real world, you have to have failure. You have to have disappointment. You have to have unfair things, because it molds us. Mm-hmm. It doesn't teach us... I mean, some people take it in a whole different way. Go, oh, this world's such a crappy place. I'm just going to make it worse. You're only making it worse for yourself. Truly.
One of my favorite motivational speeches is a guy named Jocko. He's a Navy SEAL. He has this whole thing called good, and he just goes off and off and off and off and off about like he talks about like bad situations, and just responds to the end good. and then one of his commanders, like his underlings, he was in the army when this was going on. Why do you keep always saying good? It's like, well, here's the deal, right? If you can say good at the end of all this bad shit that's coming your way, right? You can. It gives you the mind space to change. Didn't get that job you wanted? Good. You can go get another one. If you didn't get injured? Good. You learned, right? You're still here. You're surviving. I had a buddy of mine that he's having a meltdown on Facebook right now. He said something about there is no God. Now, whether you believe in God or not is irrelevant. But just the way he reacted, I said, well, look at it this way. Whatever you're going through right now, there is some good in this situation. Find that good. Number two, can you talk? I'm there. A couple of his friends like, how can you say that? There's not, some situations are just not good. And I just threw up the link to that conversation. It's like, here you go. I haven't heard anything but
I hate people who try to use Facebook as like a sounding board for, I'm so sad. What's wrong? And they're like, I don't want to talk about it or some shit like that.
Yo, no, it's
so
like
sick of people using Facebook or Instagram or whatever as a sounding board for their. Look, man, there are worse things in the world. There are way worse things in the world.
I just look at it this way personally. My own trials. I've starved since I've.
So have I.
Yeah,
I've starved, man. Okay, my family. We can edit this.
You can swear, so it's all good.
My family was poor.
Yeah.
We were poor, man. Like, we seriously were. Like, I remember eating mints for lunch.
Oh, wow. That's that. So for me, it was when I was in Arizona, I would have to go to work, and I would have to go hitchhike 20 miles. So I would be walking, riding, doing what I could just to go to work every night, right? I'd eat, but you can't eat enough to recover from doing that all the time.
That's a lot. That's a lot of energy spent, even for a young person.
Yeah, that's an incredible amount of energy spent. Yeah. So I slowly starved myself going through that. But here's the thing. I've been threatened to lose my job and fired. I've gone through stuff since. Mm-hmm. Man.
Still standing.
Yeah, I'm still standing. I'm still here. Still standing. Still here. I remember my current day job. They fired me once for a policy a long time ago, and they were incredibly surprised how good I took it. It's like, okay. I got my job back literally a week later. It was just like, they actually, not quite the next day, but the day after. Mm-hmm. Got my job back because I did the union. I wasn't upset. I was like, just let me know how it works out so I know what's going on.
This is what happened. I'm here to report it.
I'm here to report it. Try to get my job back. If you can't, we're cool. And if not, I'll go get unemployment. I'll start looking for another. I started looking for another job. I had another job literally I was 24 hours without a job, and then I got my job back. Mm-hmm. So I worked the week off. I was off at this other job. And I went back to work. Because it's like, whatever.
Even if you hate the job, don't leave like an asshole. Leave like a gentleman. And seriously, it just makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Don't be an asshole. That's a general rule in life.
Or at least be a pleasant enough asshole. Because if you're
a reasonable asshole.
Yeah. Like we were talking about off the air too. Sometimes for just what you do for a living, you do need to be an asshole about some things, because if you don't,
well, people take advantage of you. We are born pushers, I guess you could say, boundary pushers. We want to see how far we can go with people. That is just how we are. Mm-hmm. And one person this girl at work the other day, she decides, she's like, what would you do if I did this? And she reaches out and touches my food, and I was like, on what planet do you reach out and touch other people's food? Right there, that's a boundary, and
yeah, it's like, why are you doing
why would she do that to start with? I mean, obviously the girl has no boundaries, but if I had laughed it off and stuff, who knows?
Well, no, she kept going.
So just keep going. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. I was like, stop hitting on me. Don't touch my food.
Yes. That's good.
No, man, don't. I've you know what? I've been through a lot of relationships, and I don't consider myself an expert, but I have been around where I have noticed a few things, and one of the things I've seen is that people take advantage. They take the other person for granted, both male and female.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They take the other person for granted, and that's when things start to fall apart.
Yep.
They're like, well, I do this, or I do that, I do this, and I do that. Well, what have you really done for them?
Yeah.
Something special just for them. Oh, I take care of the kids and that. That's part of being a parent. What I'm talking about is, have you done something special for that other person? You know what I used to do, and it's a big seller. Is I rub feet.
Yeah.
I have no problem with giving a foot massage because I like giving massages. That's how I show my affection and stuff like that. And after a hard day of something like that, just to sit them down on the couch for 5 minutes can change your whole fucking world.
Oh, absolutely.
But then you get the other side where they start getting used to it and they start taking it for granted, and that's where things fail.
Yeah, well, no, and that's a big factor. Like I had there's this one person to get on the podcast, and we just took for granted that I was just going to be around to do it. So I made a rule when I fixed my teeth last year. I made a conscious rule that I wouldn't chase anybody down anymore. Just I wouldn't do it. I just at this point it's just like,
yeah.
If you really want to hang out with me, you'll find a way.
That is actually a general rule I use, is that these guys, how do I know if this girl likes me and stuff? I text her, she doesn't call me back. She doesn't like you. She doesn't like you that way. If it's no problem, if she gets in touch with you like 30 seconds later, whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if she responds regular, not sporadically, like the next day, oh, I'm sorry, it's busy. She is busy, and it's not with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Let that shit go. And friend zone, I'll tell you this, there is no such thing as the friend zone. The only reason that exists is because you, as a person, did not make your intentions clear. Oh, we can be friends after. That's what they hear. Doesn't matter, male or female. They hear, okay, we can be friends. And then when that other person gets upset, that's their own fault. I put that on them.
Yeah.
I do, because you did not make your intentions clear. You thought you were just going to hover around and buy gifts and things like that. And it does not work like that, male or female.
Yep. Well,
again, off track.
No, it's okay. So this is where the conversation's going.
Yeah.
So
we can go with it.
Yeah. No, I remember this girl I was interested in a couple of years ago. I made my intentions clear, but she said no, and that's fair too. Like no is no.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That's absolutely 100%. I cannot stress this enough. If somebody says no, accept it.
Yeah.
Just fucking accept it. That's a no.
Yeah. No is no. Right.
No.
Right. I mean, just be clear about your boundaries, and that's it. That's all everybody. Actually, the whole thing we've talked about, no matter what it is, be clear with your boundaries.
Just
yeah.
Be clear with your boundaries and make your intentions known.
Yeah.
Just make them known. Like, we live in a world today where like everybody hides behind like the Facebook and all that, but like, just make your intentions known. It's refreshing.
Actually, it's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
When somebody's like, oh, well, would you like to go out for coffee? You say no, fantastic. Okay, but if you're like gonna hang on, like let's be friends, expecting it to turn into something else, you're wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You're absolutely wrong.
Well, I look at it from well, like I said, I just look at intentions are clear, and it's refreshing when you're around someone that's really honest with you. I had a coffee right before the year was up with a model friend of mine. She's tough as nails, man. Like she's one of the toughest. Like she's smart and she's tough, but she's very clear. It's just really refreshing to talk to someone like that. It
is.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing to talk to somebody who's clear-headed.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to like beat around the bush and stuff like that? There's like all sorts of stuff. Like I don't know. This could open up into a very long conversation.
It's okay.
Like
right?
a couple of years ago, I wrote an article. I had a published article called "Dump with Dignity," and basically it just explains that how to handle a breakup.
Yeah.
With dignity.
Well, no,
don't beg, because she's made up her mind a long time ago. Don't beg.
No, don't beg. And remember, and this is something I learned especially with that one a couple of years ago. People do what they want to do.
People absolutely do what they want to do, and if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. There's no convincing, there's no bribing, there's no begging, there's no hovering. If somebody likes you, they like you. They may just like you as a friend, and that's something you have to deal with, man. Because having friends is fucking amazing.
Actually, absolutely.
I love having lots of, like, especially female friends, man. Like, I have 2 girls at work right now who are just amazing to me, and one of them, she has opened up to me on such a level. And she's got a boyfriend. His name's Brody, and he's a totally cool guy. I haven't met him yet, but the way she talks about him is she never complains about him. And I love hearing that sort of thing about people who are happy and things. And I was like, well, how do you do it? And she's like, he laughs at me and he teases me and things like that. And like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, like the idea that I can talk to them and that they can open up to me.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's actually a really big skill because and again, I'm not just mentioning my mom, but a couple of other friends. Not a lot of guys know how to talk to women anymore.
No, they don't. And you know what? Alicia is considered like one of the hottest women in the building and stuff. And to me, she's just my buddy.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Also, here's the thing,
and that's
too.
all I ever wanted.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, it's amazing what eye contact and actually giving a damn does.
Oh,
yeah,
you know
it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of eye contact made, but it's not like
no. It's
you
just
are communicating. Like I guess it's, as they say in Avatar, I see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see the person, and I like the person.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about meeting other people and stuff. Like Maggie and I have been friends for like 27 years. And we have never, ever crossed that line where, like, we made out or anything, because it would honestly be like making out with my cousin.
Yeah. It's gotten to that point, right?
It's always been at that point.
Really?
Yeah, we've like, oh my God, like I said, you should do an interview with the two of us, and I'll tell you a bunch of stories, but I will tell you one now. And my house was broken into when I was 13, and some really tragic stuff happened, and that's a whole other thing. But she wrote me a letter saying how sorry she felt for me, and I was like, all right, cool. And here's the funny thing is, I was like, well, I don't know what you look like. Every picture she sent me, she was either like fucking 70 feet away, or it was a blurry picture, so I didn't really know what she looked like. And so we finally meet up, and we talked for like 3 hours in a school field, and we were just like talking for like forever, and that's kind of how it always was. We would call each other when things got bad. And I always had my intentions clear with her too, that I was like, look, we aren't romantic. She's Muscles Mirsky to me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she told me she. So why Muscles Mirsky? Why is that name?
Muscles Mirsky is okay. So like I said, I've been binging the Goldbergs, and I honestly would I see that guy Adam Goldberg, and we have a lot in common. Like not everything. Like I didn't have the exact adventures he did, but he loves the Goonies, and he had this gal pal. And in the show, and she's a real person. Emmy Mirsky, her name is called, and they have always just been friends.
Yeah.
They even there's one episode where they watch When Harry Met Sally, and they both freak out because they think they're supposed to get involved. But we never had that. Bags and I never ever had that. Should we get together because we've been friends for so long?
Yeah.
We just kept it simple, and she was a pen pal most of the time.
Yeah. No, she was a friend.
She was a true friend who called me on my bullshit too.
Oh no,
you know what I mean? And right there.
She's that
establishing a boundary.
Yeah. Well, not just establishing, just being a friend, being a real friend. When you know someone's full of shit, right? And if you're a real friend, you're gonna take away those excuses for them. That's what you're gonna do. She's like, no, this is what's going on.
No, this is actually what's going on.
Yes. Right.
Exactly. No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
and I really do admire and appreciate that about people.
Yeah.
They can do that, and you know what? Sometimes they do. They pull your head out of your own ass. It's impossible to not get your head stuck up your own ass sometimes.
Absolutely. Oh, I've been guilty of this plenty of times.
Oh, me too. I thought I was bigger than I was, but again, another learning experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the older I get, the less I know. I just realized.
The more I understand, the less forgiving I am as well. But still, at the same time, that's setting boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, that's. I mean, might slightly disagree. It depends. I have this really interesting ability to put myself in the other person's shoes. I'm decent at that.
Yeah, I do. I see that.
Yeah.
Try to. Sometimes you're like, I don't want to be in it.
No. It's
as what people.
It's what I do. What I tend to find is it's really easy for me to forgive people for whatever shortcomings they do have. Where I find it's more difficult now is I hate having my time wasted. I hate that with a passion. So if anything,
don't waste my time.
Yeah, that's it. You do anything else. I don't care what else you do.
Yeah.
Don't waste my time.
You're your own individual, but yeah, no. As I'm getting older and stuff, time is the only thing that you can't give back.
Yeah.
You can't give somebody their time back.
Yeah, I had this coworker. He was like, he always come up with these. He always liked to help me with my quote unquote words of wisdom and stuff. But I recognized he didn't really appreciate it because he wasn't following, he wasn't sinking in the way it
wasn't resonating.
No. So what I did was I go, well, give me a word of wisdom for the day. What would you like me to talk about? It stumped him for the entire lunch break. He wouldn't talk to me for that half hour. because he couldn't think of what he wanted to say or hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, I could have talked to you. He's like, you had the opportunity right here for 30 minutes. You didn't do it. Why didn't you do it? And maybe that's the word of wisdom for the day. Right? And he contacted me after he was done working there because he was a temp, and he asked me, he's like, well, while you were there, did you do this, and this? I'll call you back. He hasn't. He won't.
Really?
He's somebody that wanted somebody to do the work for him. I got that sense from him.
I know those guys.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I don't need to do. I got enough on my plate. I'm not above helping anybody, but you gotta want to help yourself.
That's number one. That's exactly it. Like, you just gotta help yourself.
Yeah,
you gotta to do anything for you.
I can help. I like it when
help.
Yeah. I like it when someone like for me, I sometimes need someone to go, have you considered this? Guys like you're the one of those people that don't need help. You just need every once in a while someone to go, hey, listen, while you're navigating this way, have you looked over here and here and here while you're here? And sometimes I need that. Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. Right? We all have our quirks we need to work through, right? So, but anyway, we should talk about what you do at some point.
Yeah. No, actually, you know what? I will. We will talk about. I'm an artist. Like, I love horror movies and things like that. And like, I've showed you my work. And well, here's the thing: is that you say you got to help yourself, and I'd be lying to say that I came up with the idea of myself. But I've always been a big horror movie guy, and Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Okay.
The very first time I ever saw that, it opens up, and I truly believe it is a very creepy opening. Kirsten is building the Freddy house.
Yes.
Okay, and she's building it out of popsicle sticks. She's building it out of paper mache. And I looked at that, and I was like, you know what? I've got this stuff. I've got this board, and it's black, and it has grids like already drawn on it, so I can cut a straight line. And I just started cutting the pieces. Slowly but surely it comes together, and I was like, well, this looks pretty good. I bet you'd look even better with some siding and like some details and things like that. And that's what I started doing. I just started looking at things and saying, I can build that. I'm going to try and build that.
You kind of stumbled into it by accident.
I did absolutely 100% stumble into it by accident. I actually have to give credit to my ex-wife, who actually got me started in being creative, because she was an artist herself. She had a gallery in Vancouver, and unfortunately, she really got a bum deal on her gallery. Like, they did a bunch of work in front of it, and it was not a nice thing. It was pretty horrible for it to happen to a business, and it's just not a nice thing. But she was very artistic, and she encouraged me, and one day she went out and bought me a bunch of paints, and I was watching a lot of YouTubes and stuff, and there was a guy who's actually started with a guy called One's Customs, and he builds amazing like horror movie figures, like 1/6, but they're really expensive. I ordered one. I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? I can do this myself. And I did. I looked at it, and then that's when at the same time, I was like, well, let's watch Freddy 3, because there's the whole scene with the marionette.
Yes.
I wanted to take a look at the marionette, and by looking at our lives don't exactly go the way they do, I looked at the house. And the house seemed like the coolest thing I could make. And that was one of the first things I did, was Freddy's house from Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Yeah. And
then it just snowballed and stuff. And then I would start taking pictures of the TV of like certain buildings. Like, I built from the 1990s It.
Okay.
Yeah, I built Pennywise's lair, like the pump house that the kids all go into. You saw it in the other room.
I did.
The Evil Dead cabin.
Which is awesome, by the way.
Thank you. That's actually one I'm most proud of, because I put like a lot of details into that. Like, I made videos. They're on YouTube, Skeleton Studios, and there's a lot more than just horror houses and things like that. And I built the Psycho house. I built it 360 degrees, the whole thing around, and that was like one of my first commissions. What else have I built? I used to be a toy collector, so I would build like little dioramas and things like that, and a couple people paid me to do customs. Like, the one guy wanted me to build a Mustafar lava pit for him to put Anakin and Obi-Wan on, and so, I did. But the idea was to just get a hobby.
Yeah.
And to do something that I really found I was passionate about, and I kept pushing myself more. And it wasn't just about doing 3D things that I knew were 3D and I could see all the way around. What it became next was an episode of The Simpsons, and that's Lisa's first word. And I love the bed that Homer builds for Bart. That thing is terrifying.
That thing is the evilest thing ever.
It's the evilest thing ever, and the only thing I could find was a 2D picture of it. So that took some real like thinking outside the box, and I built it.
You built the evil clown bed.
Yeah, I can show you it right now.
Yeah,
well, you know what? We'll show you it after the interview. But I'll show you a picture from The Simpsons, and then I'll show you the picture of the clown bed. Like, it's on my YouTube channel again.
Actually, you know what? After seeing that clown bed, it's amazing. Bart likes Krusty so much.
Yeah, it is. Isn't it? Like,
yeah.
You should die before you wake. And I love that episode so much. Like, that whole thing. Like, iron helps us play. Hello, Joe. Like, so good.
No, that was classic. Like The Simpsons from like season 2 to season 8 is fantastic.
Yeah, especially when Conan O'Brien was. I think he was the producer. Or something,
he was one of the writers. No, like, but that was in all fairness.
That was like their golden age.
Well, yeah, it wasn't just Conan. That whole like you look at everybody on that list, like everybody that did stuff there. Phenomenal. When they all left, the show became what they call zombie Simpsons now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we watch The Simpsons every day at lunch and stuff. We have, a TV in the lunchroom, so we watch The Simpsons. But when we get excited is when we see like Mr. Plow or Camp Krusty.
Yes.
And like Camp Krusty is still one of the best episodes ever. Actually, I thought about doing the totem pole, and I did work on it a little bit, but it actually made way for another project I did, which was the Unita Warehouse from Return of the Living Dead.
Nice.
And that is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much that I had to, I had to express my love, I guess, for the movie. So I built the whole front of the warehouse, like, because there's an opening scene where it says, like, it's a certain time, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, and they show a perfect shot of the front of the warehouse, and I was like, I'm building that. I have to build that, and I did, and it's on my YouTube channel again too. There you go. But fuck, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Oh, right. And I said, and then I did a show. I did the HorrorCon here in Calgary. It was like one of the first, or I think it was maybe the second one. And Linnea Quigley, who plays Trash in that movie, who I actually confessed that she confused me by wearing a cod piece when she's up there naked. I was like, where's the bits? And it really, really kind of messed me up as a kid. But that's the point, is that I told her about this, and she like gives me a big hug, and I was like, would you like to come and see my table? And she was like, she's a beautiful, wonderful, amazing woman, truly a working actress. Like, she is amazing. But she comes over to my table, and she's like, oh my God, how'd you make this? And of course, like I said, like, she's from California, and I was like, this is all made out of like recycled parts. And she's like, that's incredible. I was like, do you want to sign it? She's like, yes, I do. Maybe not in so many words, but she was like, yeah, I'd love to. I got a picture with her, and she signed it for free. And when I get like the actor from the movie like saying like, this is incredible work, and I actually had it was Kane Hodder, because I showed him like my Jason that I had done out of mosaic from the Nintendo. I had these little 1x1 glass mosaic squares, and I did Jason. But he comes over, and he's looking, and he's like, dude, this is like movie quality material you've done here.
Yeah.
And so that kind of like ignited something to like me to push even further. And so I built the clown bed. But my biggest challenge, I have to say, was I built from the classic Tron, I built a recognizer.
Wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have the parts. It took a hit from a clumsy patron at one of the shows that I was at. They decided they were going to touch it, and they kind of broke it. And I haven't put it back together. But to make that, I had to do the whole thing from like a picture. So I had to cut each and every individual 3D piece. Like I'll show it to you after this, show you what it's supposed to look like. And you'll see what I mean when I had to make every part of that. And when you do stuff like that, it really just helps you as a person to like learn what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm. It's just
push yourself.
Well, absolutely. There, a friend of mine, a comedian friend of mine, we did this show together with the host. The host was like, how do you get out? It's like, there's the comfort zone, and then there's where your magic happens. You don't know what you can do until you step outside whatever boundaries you built for yourself.
And it wasn't like one shot either.
No, oh no.
No, that recognizer, I had to, there's one like the main top piece where like, there's like a yellow bar on top of it, and you'll see, it looks like a head. That took me probably about 3 or 4 different, like, building of the entire structure of that section in order to get it sized right and to get it looking right, because one time it was too skinny and too tall, the next time it was too short and it was too flat, and so like I kind of had, like, it just takes work and work and work.
Absolutely. Well, it's dedication to your craft. Like,
and if I knew anything, I was like, I'm gonna get this built. I have to get this built because when it is set up, it is impressive. It's impressive because the thing is like I didn't have any blueprints. I didn't have anybody guiding me. I had to just do it, and I had to fuck up, and I had to restart, and that was the toughest one. But when it was done, I took it to one of the shows, and people were like taking pictures of it. They're like, "This is incredible," especially like a lot of like like Gen X like myself, like they know exactly what it is. But even the gloss black that I used for it, and then there's like the red pinstriping around it.
Yep.
And it looks incredible.
So have you done any sets for any Hollywood at all?
Never. I've never done anything. Like I've applied at a lot of places and stuff, but I live in Calgary, and I look, as much as I would love to move to Vancouver and stuff like that. I like what I do now because it's for me.
Yeah.
It's for me, and I mean, I'd love to do that stuff, but there's just not a market for it here, especially because I've been to Studio Y, and I did street mascots for a little while too, and for what I want to do, they don't have that here.
Which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but you know what? That's okay. I'm still having fun.
Well, and that's the important thing.
I am, and like it's like when I think that because I've also often been into like where I thought I would find my dream job and stuff. I don't think I will ever find my dream job because when I start doing something for, like, I guess you could say, like, if I was doing it for the wrong reasons because they're throwing a lot of money at me, like I want to work on something because I want to work on it.
But it is also possible to get both.
It is possible, but I haven't found it yet.
No, it's fair, but I'm just saying like, okay, for me, comic book wise, I'd love to do Green Lantern, even though I wouldn't care if it was just for one issue.
Yeah,
I do it.
I would totally be in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've also looked into like look, I gotta be honest, like I want to live my life and I don't want to slave away. And I live a comfortable life. I don't want to slave away. And I've seen the film industry, and it's tough.
No, it's tough.
It's a lot of like long ass hours, and
it's brutal. You really have to love it. If you don't love it, you shouldn't do it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't love it. And what I do love though is I love using my creativity to create something on my terms.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know that sounds like, oh, why aren't you chasing your dreams? I'm like, I did chase my dreams. I went for it. I saw it. And it wasn't for me. And it didn't kill my love.
Oh, no. And that's, and as long as you go for it.
Yeah.
That's really all.
That's all that matters. Is that you go for it.
Yeah, you go for it. You need to find out. Like, once you find out, whatever you decide to do, you decide to do. That's all good. But you need to find out. Because you need to, you will always wonder
what if.
Yeah, otherwise.
That's one of the worst things. And I used to do that when I was a kid and stuff. Like, probably why my grades were so terrible is because I was like, well, what if I can't figure it out? Well, I didn't figure it out. You know what I mean?
Well, you beat yourself.
I did. I beat myself because like I had doubt, but like what teenager doesn't have doubt?
Oh no!
Once I lost that doubt,
yeah,
you know, you can accomplish great things. It returns every now and then. It definitely does. The doubt returns, but
I think that's normal. Look, no matter how far up you go on whatever creative ladder you go on, creativity is hard because there's no actual quantifiable way to like, it isn't like a sport where sports you go for a trophy, you compete for it, it's a meritocracy, you win or you don't, right? There's no, like, creativity, there's nothing quite like that. There's no, good is relative, because it all depends on what the job is, the assignment is, what your goals, right? So there's no actual, like, and even just people that do sports, they have doubts because they're competing against people who are coming at them at their very best.
It's all competition.
It's all competition.
Yeah, it's competition, right?
So I think doubt is it's perfectly natural. The trick is managing
Overcoming it.
Yeah, just managing your doubt.
Managing it.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to completely overcome doubt, but you have to manage it because it just is the way it is, man. Like, and if I had doubted that I couldn't build certain things, then I probably wouldn't feel as... if I doubted myself that I couldn't build something and just never did, then how would I know that I could...
Well,
it's a catch-22.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Self-fulfilling.
Right?
You defeated yourself already.
Yeah, that's it. And the paradox is there's a paradox with success. This is what makes success super hard. Success is a paradox. You can do all the right things and still not succeed, right? Right? You do all this. The only thing you can do as a human being is you put yourself in the best possible chances to succeed, right? Now you're still going to strike out, but sooner or later, it's just the law of averages. Sooner or later, you're going to hit that home run.
Yeah.
But again, you just got to keep swinging at the bat.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I build them, is because people see my videos, and I've actually had a few commissions, and people love my work. It's expensive because
it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time, and here's the thing: is that look, man, you can't give somebody their time back, and especially I think that people. This is where we were talking again, where I think the only time an ego is really necessary, especially when you're talented and stuff, is when you're doing business. Like when somebody's requiring a piece of your time, they have to compensate you for it, especially if they're getting a quality piece, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's, I mean, like
when they're getting the quality that they are.
Yeah. Well, when someone's coming to you making an offer for your talent, they're
obviously interested.
They're interested automatically. You don't need to worry. Now, again, you might be out of the price range. You might be. But that's fine, right? I'm interested enough to at least hear, like, what would it take for you to do this, right? And if it's within what I feel is a fair batting average, and I've done this with artists, that's reasonable. I'll do it because I know it's a lot of time, effort, energy. Florence, who drew all my stuff for the Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God. She ended up charging me more and more as time went on. But that's because her time was valuable. I really wanted to work with her, and it's just good business on her end. And there's no resentment on that because she was worth it.
Well, yeah. No, I believe it. And actually, I have had a couple of clients that I was like, look, I know I quoted you at this, and then I'm taking them through like step-by-step process. They're getting pictures like weekly, and I said, I'm sorry, but I won't. I won't compromise, right?
Well, you can't. Well,
I get a lot of choosing beggars, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
they're like, well, all your stuff's free. Why can't you just make it and give it to me? And I'm like, well, do you know how much time is worth?
Well, it's not. Even if your stuff's free, I mean, here's the thing.
Not free.
No, it's not. None of it's ever free. And the other thing too, artists have cut me deals in the past.
Oh, absolutely. It depends on what kind of person you are, too. If you're super friendly and, like, I can tell you're a fan.
Yeah.
I might cut you a deal and, like, do it for, like, because I know it'll be appreciated.
Yeah.
But there is one person, actually, I did a free house for because I just wanted to kind of get my name out there. They didn't offer me I approached them and said, would you like a house? And they said, yes, I would. And they plugged the shit out of me.
Well, of course, no, again...
That was my offer.
I did a blog not too long ago about what you are worth, right? Like what you are worth. Like how do you quantify that in some way or form? There's two parts to that: time, and also resentment. So a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, things have kind of fallen out, but she had great concepts like, how much would it cost for me to do this job so I don't resent the job? Right? How much would it cost? And it's a reasonable negotiation thing because if you know that whoever you're dealing with is going to be headaches, pain in the ass, whatever the case may be, right? You charge accordingly. And if they're nicer, you're not going to resent it anywhere near as much, so you can drop your price down. So choosing beggars, your resentment's like through the roof.
Oh, it's like 1,000%.
Right? So
because they're the thing is like I'm wondering about how do they consider this to be okay?
Because they don't because again they don't put it into perspective.
No, they don't. No, my kid can build that. Well, get your kid to build it.
Yeah, go ahead. Get your kid to build it.
I had one guy. He's like, I can build that, and he sends me something. I mean, the guy built the frame. He's like, I can build an Amityville house, and I was like,
go for it.
Awesome, man. I'd love to see it. And he sends me a thing that's like made out of look, the guy made it out of cardboard and there's nothing wrong with using cardboard, but he just built the basic shape and said he's like he's like, I can do it, and I was like, okay, put the siding on, put the
Well, once you start quoting details, a lot of these people are like, "Wait, what do you mean?" Like, this is what I do.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
Because like I'll explain it to you. Every shingle is hand cut. Like I'll draw a grid and I have to cut them out, but I still have to cut them out because that gives them the look that I want. For the siding, what I have to do is I take like veneer and I spray paint it, and I have to glue one side of the newspaper so when I cut it, it doesn't split and it stays together. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into these. That chimney that I did for the Evil Dead one took 8 hours because to get the look that you need, it takes time, especially with that chimney. Each brick is an individual brick that I had to glue in. And yeah, that's why it takes so long. But the quality you get from something that you can tell has been really thought about, and
nuance and details are
all in the details, man. There's a guy actually I know, and his detail work is amazing. His name's Lance Cardinal. He's a fellow Albertan, but I think he lives up in the northern part of Alberta. He built like the Neibolt house from the new It movie. Mm-hmm. His stuff blows mine like completely out of the water. But his detail, and that's where I learned how to do details, from looking at his stuff, and also walking around. Like I used to go to Vancouver a lot, and just seeing like all the algae and like all the just like living by the sea, like the I guess you could say the aging. It really, like, it sticks in my mind. Like, I can get that effect of a little green paint. I can get that effect, and because I've seen it in real life, like, I can interpret it onto my work. Like, if you've ever seen like something that's been sitting in a swamp, like a concrete building, it's gonna have watermarks on it, right? As it's going up from the different water levels it's reached, to speckles of like lichen that have been growing on it, and those details right there really make it happen.
And it's the difference between good and great.
I like to think that it's more of well, actually, it is good and great. Yes, actually, I'm totally on board with that. But I like to think of it as more of like your care.
Yeah.
How much you want this to look real.
Well, this is, I think, art in general. I think care, like in terms of details, whether it's writing, whether it's building sets, whether it's painting, whether it's taking photographs.
Yeah.
It's the attention to detail and quality.
The eye.
The eye, right there. It's what makes. I'm like, for me, like, my first novel's coming out this year, like my first actual novel.
Yeah.
I'm learning an awful lot about the detail work of a novel, like what to say, how to say it, like the right way to build. To build sentences, structure in a way that will actually create images in my reader's head. This first book's okay. I know that the next book has to be better, because I have to make myself better and push myself forward. Because if I'm not, and that's because voice is important. Like, that's where I think I care detail, even with what you think. I'm sure there's something very distinctly you in each and every one of your pieces.
There's definitely things in, like, every one I build is done with, like, definitely attention to details. Like, I'll watch the movie, pause it, and as I'm working, like, I'll walk up close to the TV, just because I want to see just how big the ring is around the key that's on top of the doorway in Evil Dead when they're trying to get into the cabin, to how many boards are on the bench.
Yeah, so
these are things that I care about, because these are movies that, like, artists, again, like Sam Raimi, all those guys, they're artists. This is their art, and I'm basically interpreting it my way, but I still want to, like, pay it the respect it deserves.
You're homaging, but you're also adding something of yourself into it.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
They are a lot like my children, because to build the frame itself takes no time.
Yes.
I mean, that's the quick part. What the tough part is the details. Gluing on each one of those shingles, making sure that the siding is crooked in just the right spot. How, if it was truly a real building, how would the water flow off of this building? Like, what damage would it do? How do windows look when they're broken? That's one of my favorite things to do. Is I love to do broken windows, and I do them well because I learned a technique how to do them, and that's another, like, it's a detail work, right? Like, to see, because I mean, you can just draw cracks in a window, and I mean, it doesn't look right, but But if you've seen a broken window, a lot of the times they'll have like it's stripes, and you know there'll be a hole. They don't break into like cracks that you see in cartoons. No, they break to the laws of physics, and that's what I'm looking for too for my realism. Is I want real physics in my stuff.
I have an idea for something we'll have to talk off the air about. I do think we have a pretty good interview here. What do you think?
Oh, I'm cool. Yeah. Whatever. We've been talking for a long time, man. So all good, bud.
Yeah. So how about we do this? What are you working on now? If you are working on anything right now.
I am.
Yes. And how can people find you?
Oh, we can totally do that. But there is one other thing I didn't talk about.
No, sure. Go.
Was well, I also started doing toys as well, right? Like I saw a lot of broken toys I used to pick up a lot, and I actually caught a little bit of flack for like, oh, how could you like break that stuff and like deface these old toys? I'm like, look, dude, they were well worn and well loved, so they were broken. And what I would do is like, well, Castle Grayskull is a perfect example of one of my favorite pieces that I've done, and I'm still continuing to work on it like year by year because I just get new ideas for it. I brought out all the details of in between the bricks to putting like what looks like a real wood floor into the top layers. I put tapestries. I gave it color, and it looks like it's exploded with life on it, right? Like I wanted to make it look like an organic thing. For Dagobah, it's a really gorgeous, beautiful sculpt, like the old Dagobah playset. There's so much detail, but the playset itself is like a beige base and a brown tree, and it's really plain looking. So what I would do is I look at it, and I look at like the individual like little critters that are running around on it, and I would just bring out those details, make them pop, put in something that really makes it look like it's a swampy planet. And I was doing tons of toys and stuff. I did a whole like series of He-Man figures that I came up with, one including that actually inspired a few people to do their own, and I came up with the first character. His name was Froggus, and I put him on He-Man.org, and pretty soon people were copying. They were taking the body of the tongue lasher, and they would make their own frogs, and so we kind of started
a frog army
and things like that. So just by just doing stuff because you want to, and like I loved toys for a bit, and I wanted to see my own characters. I bought a Terminator from like the 90s Terminator, and then I bought an old He-Man and popped the leg off the Terminator and the arm and made him battle damaged Faker, like making my own stuff. And that's kind of what it went into. And then I got into models because I was seeing that models were really cool. I did the Alien Chestbuster. I did the Queen. I did the Facehugger. I've done a full-size Gremlin. It's all about just doing and pushing yourself, like evolving as an artist and things like that. And all this stuff can be found on my channel on YouTube. And I am Skeleton Studios.
You're Skeleton Studios?
I call it Skeleton Studios because it's just myself. It's a skeleton crew.
Yeah, I was thinking it might have been a reference to Skeletor.
Well, that too, actually. You know what? Skeletor Studios. Maybe I'll change my name. I'm on Instagram as well. Though I got to tell you, I am not all super social media savvy, but I do post.
Okay.
I do like doing that stuff. And currently, right now, I'm working on my second Pennywise lair, but this one I'm not doing screen accurate. I'm actually doing it more to like my own interpretation. The shape is still very roughly the same, but I've added more. I've made it darker. I made it bigger. I made it uglier, rustier. I really took like just about everything I've learned so far just by like watching YouTube videos and just looking into it for myself, not because somebody told me to. Like, I want to know. So I go and I look and I just experiment with this and that, and I'm really happy with the way this is turning out. And one of the last things I want to do before I'm done is it's going to be sitting in, if you remember the original movie, it is sitting in a swamp. And the first one I did a bunch of lilies. But this time I'm thinking of something like, I want it still sitting in a swamp. However, I want to make it like, it's not a place where you'd like even want to like stick your toe in. There's broken glass, there's chunks of like metal, there's an old car sticking halfway out the swamp. I don't want it to look so So nature, like, I want the nature to be there, but I want this to look like a dumping ground. Like, this place is not a place where you want to go, and it's really working out with, like, I also did some chain link fence, which really turned out well, all rusty and details. It's all details, and I have it. I guess you could say it's my biggest project that I've had yet to date. So I have a car. I was gonna do Christine as an homage, like the Plymouth Fury, but I decided on a Dodge Challenger instead because Dodge Challenger.
Yeah, indeed.
But I'm gonna cut it in half, and I'm gonna stick the chassis inside and make it look like a submerged car, and just gonna make it look gross and like someplace you wouldn't want to go.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that was my conversation with Neil Richardson. Check out Skeleton Studios. If you want to make like custom like models, sets, whatever you want to do, this guy is unbelievably gifted. I want to thank you, Neil, for this awesome conversation. And yeah, man, you're welcome back anytime you want. Now, I have a giveaway to close out this podcast, and this is with this. Words and Pictures has provided me with a bunch of graphic novels to give away, and you have until this Thursday to put your email into the mailing list. If you do, on Thursday I will draw it out, and if it's your name called, you will get this graphic novel. And I don't care whereabouts in the world you are, I will send it to you. The graphic novel for today is Kid Eternity, the deluxe edition by Grant Morrison and Duncan Vergredo. It is without a doubt, Grant Morrison is the man. Like, honestly, Grant Morrison is one of the best comic book writers out there. Most of his books are amazing, and even when his failures are spectacular in the attempts. I really, really think Grant Morrison is an awesome creator, and I think you'll enjoy Kid Eternity. If you want to take this home, like I said, put your name on the list, and this Thursday I will announce another winner. Thank you once again to Words and Pictures. Beyond all that, that'll do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. For starters, you can subscribe to the podcast. I am on Podomatic here, but I'm also on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Just go out there, put your name, put a subscribe button, review it, rate it, whatever you'd like to do. Tell your friends about this podcast. That'd be awesome. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, Courtesy of Mirrorwell Publishing .ca, and Mirrorwell Publishing has been great to me. Definitely go check them out. Grab their books. You can also do so on Amazon, Kobo, anywhere books can be sold. They are there. There's that. Number 3, my YouTube channel, Joshua Pantellaresco. I have 136 episodes up there. I just uploaded my conversation with Mirrorwell Publishing, as well as Hannibal Taboo and Tim Chismars. Both parts are now permanently in that archive. But no matter what you do, whether you do this or not, thank you very much for listening. I'll see you guys this Thursday with Emil Hill. Stay inspired out there. Have a good one, guys, this week.
Josh.